The offseason of Auburn football every year brings many questions for the Auburn faithful. Despite having a third-year returning quarterback, many fans are still questioning whether there might or should be a change at the position. Let's take a look at the quarterback race for 2021 and make some predictions for Auburn football. My name is Kyle, the owner and editor of the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks. Our content here and on our podcast network may tend to be sports heavy, but if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. Check out the links in the description for ways to help support our content, and thank you to the members of the Booster Club, like Felix Gonzalez, who helped produce videos like this. The race is very clear. Auburn football has three legitimate quarterback options. Bo Nix, the third-year returning starter, TJ Finley, the second-year, technically still freshman quarterback transfer from LSU, and brand new quarterback to college football overall, Demetrius Davis, who comes out of North Shore. Auburn fans and sports personalities alike still question Bo despite several other issues that remain for the team, but I do think that this is a fair question to ask. After all, Auburn football is going through a regime and system change, especially on offense. And with that change often comes new opportunities for a player at every position. Just because you were the starter last year doesn't mean it's your position. Each and every time a new season begins, you have to go out there and earn it. So let's at least take a look at that. Now, I do want to point out that there are some other factors that are going to affect the quarterback race overall. We're trying to just look at this as the quarterbacks themselves, though. But some of those factors would be the success of the offensive line, maybe or eventually coming together, a young but inexperience-plagued wide receiver core, and as we've already mentioned, the new system coming in with Coach Brian Harsin and Mike Bobo. So what I want to do with the quarterbacks is list some pros, some cons, along with a percentage of confidence who I think has this locked up. It might not be a bit of a shock, but at least you'll kind of understand my thinking. And as always, this could change as things develop throughout the rest of the summer and as we get into fall camp. First, let's take a look at Bo Nix, his pros. And it's a good and a bad thing. You know what you get. The good stuff, the bad stuff. It's really something that you have a lot of tape on and something that Mike Bobo and Brian Harsin can try their best to fix with him. Now, that doesn't mean that all the issues can be fixed, but maybe they can find ways to counteract them. Because let's be honest, Bo Nix has been through a lot. He's seen a lot of the bad, and it's probably going to mess with him just a little bit. But the more tape that you have, the more that you have to work with him, especially at this level. The kid's got a lot of heart. If Bo Nix didn't earn your respect for the way that he went out there in the bowl game and fought through an injury to try to compete, I don't know what I can do for you. Bo has the heart. He's also the leadership of this team, even if he is still having the struggles. And yes, we've seen him knock heads with a couple of players at times, but they've always bounced back and gotten better for it. So I do think that his heart and his leadership are two key factors that could help him win this race. Some of the cons. Trust for the offensive line. That relationship has been hurt time and time again on both sides. Honestly, Bo wasn't being protected a lot throughout both the first 2 years he's been here, but it also developed some very bad habits that the offensive line now have a hard time anticipating. So it goes both ways, so that definitely is a con. Those old habits as well, can they be broken? You would think a new coach, a new quarterback coach, a new system could help this, but if the habits are so ingrained, could they be broken? I don't know. Only time will tell. And the big thing for a lot of folks that really look at the statistics too is the accuracy. And I'm not going to deny that the accuracy is not as good as it should be. But I do think that that is so dependent upon some of the other factors here that it's hard to really put that, but it's still a con, so I will acknowledge that. Overall, when you take a look at all of these things, I think Bo Nix still has a 60% chance of taking the starting job and remaining as that for the third year. Now let's take a look at TJ Finley, the second-year quarterback transferring over from LSU. His pros, he actually does have not just college football experience, but SEC experience, but even further than that, SEC West experience. It's no argument that the SEC is the best of college football, but especially this division, the West Division, with teams the likes of Auburn, Alabama, LSU, and even throw Texas A&M to the mix. The fact that he has experience against that is going to work in his favor. He's also a pocket passer, something that's very attractive for Auburn fans in general because we've spent a lot of time with more mobile quarterbacks. So he's a different style of quarterback altogether, and a lot of people think that he'd be a better fit for the new system that's coming in under Coach Brian Harsin. He also has the size, something that Auburn fans have always wanted is a Cam Newton 2.0. I loved having Cam Newton, but I think he also ruined us as well. If you want the measurables that are going to match up to him, well, this is probably your best bet for a while. Some of the cons. Let's just be honest here. I'm not being rude in any way to him, just the reality of the fact. He couldn't make it as the LSU starting quarterback, at least as far as we could tell going into the season. Now, he was the starter for I think up to 5 or so games last season, but he lost the job, and some speculate that he was as low as 3rd on the list going into this season. And let's be honest too, his accuracy, if you go back and look at his high school and even in his college, granted under a smaller microscope because not as much playing time as Bo Nix, was not that great either, being under 50%. So accuracy is a problem for him as well. So for these reasons, I put him at a 30% chance of being the starting quarterback because I think he's got some of the same issues that Bo Nix has, but he still has some experience that he can use to counteract with Bo Nix. So I've got to give him a legitimate shot at winning out the starting job, but I still think it's very much in Bo Nix's favor. Now let's take a look at Demetrius Davis, and if you've been doing the math, you kind of know where he stands, but I'll reveal that in just a second. Let's talk about his pros, though. The one word or phrase, actually, that I keep getting told by everybody, whether it's on a live stream or just out in public talking to people about Auburn football, is that he's got raw talent. And I'm not going to sit here and deny that. I've seen the game film myself. Looks great. Absolutely great. I really am excited for what he could potentially be for us in the future. Another good thing is that there's less film. It actually could be a bad thing as well, but how it could be a good thing is there's less for people to key off of and learn on him, so he could be a bit of a surprise thing if that talent is as good as it looks like coming out of high school. So it could be one of those things, if he is able to sneak away with this job, he's going to be a bit of a wild card for opposing defenses. So I think that really does play in his favor as well. Now the cons, the flip side of what I was just saying. No experience at college football level, outside of the spring game, mind you, where he did have a few good plays. Now, he also doesn't have any SEC experience on top of TJ Finley and Bo Nix, who both have that on top of him. So when you start thinking about that, it really puts him at a disadvantage. He was also recruited by the previous staff for their system. Doesn't mean he can't work within this new system, and maybe he will. Maybe he'll be the surprise. But you have to consider that as well, that he was recruited for a particular system. And he was kind of considered anyway before all this the heir apparent to Bo Nix. So if you're the guy that's being brought in to kind of sit and wait and learn for a little bit, probably hasn't changed all that much, especially when you bring in a guy like TJ Finley. I would suspect them to probably still be considered the heir apparent to both of these guys, whoever ends up getting the starting job. For that reason, Demetrius Davis only gets about a 10% chance for me of winning the starting job. So now I want to know from you, what percentages would you place on each of these quarterback options, the 3 legitimate options for being the starter for Auburn football in 2021? Let me know down there in the comment section below. Would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this content, please help support it by smashing that like button and subscribing along with that notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live stream. There are other ways that you can help support us listed in the description of this video, such as the E2C Network Booster Club. As little as $1 a month gets you a lot. Thank you for tuning into the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.